So let's get this started right off the bat with probably one of the funniest stories, which is Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder want to intentionally spread COVID. Apparently, this is the new talking point because they're all saying it.
COVID is, for all intents and purposes, not a government issue anymore. Okay, there's a new study. It came out over the weekend, cited by our friend Marty McCary from Johns Hopkins University. It was released by the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control, and it found that there are confirmed cases of Omicron in now 23 countries. Okay, how many of those cases have ended in hospitalization or death? 0. The answer is 0. Quote, all cases for which there is available information on severity were either asymptomatic or mild. There have been no Omicron-related deaths reported thus far. As a friend texted me over the weekend, more people have been killed by Alec Baldwin than have been killed by Omicron at this point. Okay, so Omicron is, in fact, it may be the solution to the pandemic. If it's more infectious than Delta and it kills no one, that's a good thing. That means everybody is gaining natural immunity with asymptomatic or mild infection. So why are we panicking? But we have to panic because the panic is baked into the cake. Because again, at a certain point, this is no longer about protecting people. At a certain point, and that point came long ago, once we had the vaccines, at a certain point, it's about control. And it's about maintaining a belief that centralized sources of knowledge are capable of fixing the world when that is just not true. So over the weekend, you had CNN medical expert Jonathan Reiner calling for more measures with regard to COVID. More measures with regard to COVID. This is insane.
So conservatism has now morphed into, we can't have centralized sources of knowledge except for Donald Trump. He knows everything. Donald Trump has a plan. Let's not listen to experts. Let's listen to our influencer. Let's listen to our influencer president, Donald Trump. I think one of the things that's really funny about this is Omicron is spreading within an environment of a highly vaccinated population. So that means there's going to be a lot less cases that are serious until Omicron finds unvaccinated populations. And this is the beginning of a variant. And if you know anything about COVID, if you've been a human being with a brain that's been functioning for the last 2 years, so Ben Shapiro is not that. He's a corporate talking point with a cattle prod up its ass. And it tends to be that people underestimate how bad the thing is going to be. When Delta variant came out, a lot of people were like, what's the big deal? And it turned out to be much, much, much more virulent and much more dangerous of a COVID, variant than the original COVID virus, which was already deadly. And it started killing a lot more young adults and a lot more middle-aged people, whereas the original COVID primarily killed elderly people. Delta, in hindsight, was a lot more dangerous than the COVID itself, the original COVID. And we have case after case after case of exactly that situation where COVID is underestimated. It does massive damage, kills a lot of people, and spreads rapidly. And there's a lot of reasons to be concerned about Omicron, specifically that it may be able to withstand previous infection or vaccination, and we don't have the data yet. We do have cases where we detected Omicron in places where, so it's beginning to spread around the world, but it's too early for scientists to say anything definitively. And this is one of the things that Ben Shapiro knows, because scientists are conservative, not conservative, big C conservative, like the conservative political movement, conservative in an intellectual sense, which is scientists don't want to come to any conclusions until it is unless you basically can't, when it's a certainty, basically a scientific certainty, where the level of information is so high, the level of certainty is so high, the level of alternative explanations is so low that you can say with certainty, with very low probability of error, that something is so. So when you're talking about a thing like a pandemic, that is a mix between medical science, that is a mix between political considerations, and between, epidemiology. You've got all these different scientific factors, right? You've got all these different social factors that are coming together. And pure scientists, microbiologists, the doctors, whatever, they're going to proceed very slowly. And in medical science, that usually is the smart thing to do because, for example, if you want to treat asthma, we've known about asthma for decades. We have treatments. We have explanations of symptom progression. We have, we know what asthma attacks are. We know what treatments are effective. We know what can cause asthma, what can alleviate asthma. And we have a whole book of knowledge that has been meticulously built up over decades, right? With COVID, the book has not been written yet. We have a new pathogen that's going around killing a lot of people. And scientists don't want to tell you to do something without having that knowledge fully baked in. Well, the longer we take to act, the worse the pandemic will be. And so people like Ben Shapiro understand that scientists are going to be temperamentally, thank you, third time's the charm, conservative in the sense that they are going to not rush to give advice and guidance and they're going to make statements slower than is probably warranted from, say, like a preponderance of the evidence, right? And so politicians and administrators, they have to look at the science and say, okay, we know that this isn't certain yet, but we need to make decisions based on this provisional information to try to prevent possible bad outcomes, right? And many times with that provisional information, because it has a lower standard of proof than typical scientific evidence, it can be wrong. It could have been too small of a sample size. It could have ended up not being the case. And then charlatans like Ben Shapiro can step in and say, ha-ha! The scientists are being political. Look at how they made a mistake. Look at how they're changing science. And they can use it for their advantage to be a pathetic fucking grifter scum who are trying to make money, trying to build distrust, trying to build hatred of their political enemies. And Ben is vaccinated, okay? Ben is listening to the science for himself and for his family. But he's going to allow millions of people that are his followers or followers of other conservatives to fucking die for his grift because he's an evil son of a bitch. The booster shot is extremely effective. It should be forced on all Americans. All Americans should be forced to get the vaccine. 1,731 people die from COVID-19 in this country on 12/14/2021. Is that right? Jesus. And so now we have people telling you not to trust Dr. Fauci, but Steven Crowder, he's got an idea. He's got an idea how to handle Omicron. Are you ready? Hasan, come back as soon as he can. I'm sure he will. Years ago in my master's level public health policy class, there were non-traditional students talking in an epidemiology class about how they weren't vaccinating their kids. There is zero hope for this country, TBH. Holy hell. Incompetent Dems are shelving the BBB and focusing on voting rights. I told you. Told you. As soon as the dipshit said, oh, well, let's just pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill, we can separate the bills. That meant the Build Back Better bill was dead. 1731 yesterday, 1292 the day before. Weekly average is 1266. It's insane, Mike. I mean, so many people are dying. I think the problem stems from skepticism, but without rigor. For example, my dad is very skeptical of Pfizer or Dr. Fauci because follow the money. But he doesn't follow to look at any scientific evidence and studies. When I asked him why, he said it's because he wouldn't understand it. So where comes his skepticism? Okay, let's go back and watch. We're going to talk about the Democrats later.
Well, here's the thing, too. We weren't planning on talking about this, but the Omicron, okay?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
The Omnicorp virus?
Yes, the Omnicorp.
Yes.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Because then people are just going to see clips, and they're going to see me say Omicron. Well, here's the thing, too. We weren't planning on talking about this, but the Omicron, okay?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it tomorrow.
The Omnicorp virus?
Yes, the Omnicorp.
Yes.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Because then people are just going to see clips, and they're going to see me say Omicron, and I'm like, why does Steven not know what he's talking about? It's your fault. You do this to me.
I'm sorry.
So
No, you're not.
The Omnicorp shit. The Omicron.
I just think if we call it Omnicorp, we get away with it.
Okay, the Omnicorp virus. That's a good call.
That's a good call.
The Omnicorp virus, just like calling what's her name, Megan Thee Stallion, Lizzo. And they'll be like, I didn't say it about her.
I don't know. Yeah,
I have no idea. It was the other fat whore.
You know how mad she'd be if you poured hand sanitizer all over her dinner?
Yeah, I know. You would think so.
She would eat it.
You ruined my chitlins.
She would eat it.
I'm not saying she wouldn't, but
I don't know.
she wouldn't enjoy it as much.
You do it over a Popeye's chicken sandwich would be an improvement.
Shut
up. Shut up. I don't care. So
I got stabbed for
the
one
Omicron variant, when you think about this,
So basically, the entire show is just a nonstop parade of misogyny and racism from some place of deep bitterness. Like, what is he mad about exactly? Like, what the fuck is he mad about? Oh, like, what the fuck is he even mad about? Are you serious? That is, oh yeah, this is 10 billion quadrillion times more racist than whether or not, you are a Kellogg brand of snack food. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. And this is fine. But God forbid you question white men. As a white man, it is so funny to see white people complaining about reverse racism. Because guess what? As a man and as a white man, both of those things are a tremendous advantage. And I'll explain it more. Rather than just calling you dumb as f***, I'll explain it. I have people who are friends of mine who are people of color and women or femme-presenting people on this platform. As a cis white man, I get 0%, by 0.1% of the vileness they do. It is a nonstop parade of racist comments, sexist comments, transphobic comments, and they're like 10% my size, 5% my size. They'll get way more harassment, and it's nowhere close. It's not even close. And I have groups of people who hate me, like, psychotically. I have parasocial haters for no reason, and I get nothing. I have people that are like female mods, like Sushi Mom, of mine, who get more death threats than I do. I think I've gotten, like, maybe a couple, and I was made fun of by PewDiePie. I mean, like, I have had the worst that you can get. By the way, he made another video saying that I was fine because guess what? I laughed when he made fun of me because I thought it was funny because I laugh at myself. But like the idea that reverse racism or anti-white racism is a problem, I have never experienced it. I've lived in Asia. I have been around the world. I have been in all sorts of situations where I was the minority. I've lived in neighborhoods where 20% of the people were white at most. And yet at no point beyond a stray white boy have I ever gotten anything like this. And I know that when I walk around, the cops are going to give me the benefit of the doubt. When I walk into a store, the store is going to give me the benefit of the doubt. I just don't encounter it. It's just not real. It's not real. Go to Africa, they will eat you. That's beyond false and hilariously racist. You know who eats more people? The West. All right, let's go back to this dipshit racist.
All references will be available at loudearthcarter.com. We'll do a...
She would eat it.
I'm not saying she wouldn't, but
I don't know.
she wouldn't enjoy
I
it
guess
as
they're
much.
calling Meg
Do
the
it over
Stallion
a
fat.
Popeye's chicken
She's
sandwich would be an improvement.
An icon.
That's
Shut
okay.
up. Shut up. I don't care.
Very
So
hot.
I got stabbed for
the
one of those.
Omicron variant, when you think about this too, and all references will be available at loudearthcarter.com. We'll do a whole segment on it tomorrow. Is okay. They are now saying that it outcompetes the Delta variant.
Right.
So basically they're projecting wipe out the Delta variant. It's far more transmissible. And as far as I know, no deaths yet.
No reported
No reported deaths
either.
and very, very mild symptoms.
We don't know.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Could you ask for anything better? Something that wipes out the other variants, which had the absolutely just devastating mortality rate of 0.3%.
Oh my
and
God.
now it's less than that, and people don't even get bad symptoms, and it's guaranteed to be the variant that you catch sometime in the next. I mean, when do you have Omicron parties?
Yeah.
You couldn't write it better. Be like, okay, look, I want you, if Fauci said, I want you to write a list, okay, of everything you want in a variant. And Frank Luntz in his toupee and sneakers, like, okay, raise your hand if you want it to be more transmissible. Raise your hand. And then it'd be like, okay, more transmissible. It will destroy the Delta variant, and it doesn't even hurt. Like, here you go. And God gave it to us.
Hey, guy, the Canadian who got robbed by a Montreal twink is telling you how to survive COVID. The guy who wears holsters because a small Montreal twink robbed him on the street and was laughed out by Jordan Peterson is giving you medical advice. And look at this clip of Destiny.
The Salvation Army received such a backlash that they rescinded the study guide. Too bad. The Salvation Army is comprised of bigots. It's comprised of people that want you to care about skin color. So I encourage all of you, every time you see some of those people danging those bells outside of there, they're just probably nice people that got enlisted in the ranks. But you should go up to them and say, hey, you know you work for a bigoted company, a racist company, an anti-white company or corporation. No person that has a moral compass should give money to the Salvation Army.
The Salvation Army is anti-white. I said Destiny. I'm sorry. It was a Freudian slip. Because Charlie, I can't tell the difference between Charlie Kirk's rhetoric and his. I'm sorry. It's the same rhetoric. I'm sorry. Rito's Gale, thank you for the tier 1. And here's the thing, like, one of the things that's really interesting about conservatives, and of course, you know, one of my favorite predictions that I made is before Biden was sworn in, I said that by 2024, I'm pretty sure the omni-liberal crew will be voting for the Republican nominee by 2024. I might be off by 2 years. But, and maybe there's a certain kind of like, they have to be committed to Biden, you know, Biden's their guy, right? So abandoning him may look bad, but I think they will, you know, and if it's Trump, then you probably can't advocate voting for Trump, right? That's probably too far. But if it's somebody like Josh Hawley, I could totally see it. And one of the things that is, funny is like these people believe this shit. Like, can you imagine going around and believing in, for example, PUA shit, hanging out with fascists and posting that being anti-white is a real phenomenon? You have to understand, the only reason people react to this and are surprised is because people were allowed to pretend to be left-wing for a couple years. And now everybody who built themselves up saying that this person is such a good help to the left is now caught out because I saw it coming years ago. And I was like, this person is not an ally of the left, is not even really a strong Democrat, for sake. And there's a quote that is so true. When you scratch a real liberal, not a liberal in the sense that Americans think of it as somebody who's just kind of generically in the Democratic Party. Many people call themselves liberal. No, I mean an ideological liberal. That the 1% of the world, which is people who actually believe in neoliberal status quo, who believe in markets, who believe in rational market hypothesis, who believe that neoliberal policies of like austerity and privatization are actually good. Those are like 1% of the world actually has a psychosis like that. But those people are nearly indistinguishable from fascists. and we've talked about this for a long, long time, is that these kind of ideological liberals are latent fascists. You just have to put them in the right environment. And so the phrase, when you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds, that actually, if you think about it more, it's not that liberals are hiding being fascists from, that they're inside, they think I'm a fascist, but I got to put liberal out. It's that when the scratch is a time of trauma, when capitalism fails, when liberal democracy's weaknesses are clear, when the oligarchy is sucking up more and more money and more power for the very wealthy and for people with no merit whatsoever, like the kids of the Walton family or Elon Musk. And it becomes clear that capitalism is a game of power. Liberals will not abandon capitalism. They'll abandon democracy. And then they become fascists. Okay? That's the scratch. That's the test. And when you look at history, you see it time and time again. Fascists ally with liberal parties over and over and over again. It's just the way it is. It's Charlie Kirk. Salvation Army is anti-white.
Person that has a moral compass should give money to the Salvation Army. There's plenty of other good charities, everybody, and you should go support. You should give 10% of your pre-tax income to whatever you possibly can.
By the way, chat, Salvation Army was famous because they had anti-gay policies for the longest time. They were objectively bigoted against gay people. And conservatives had no problem with a homeless person who was gay not getting shelter. They didn't give a shit about that. The Salvation Army says it doesn't discriminate against LGBTQ people. Critics say that's not true. The organization, long history of alleged discrimination. In 2013, transgender activist and writer Zena Jones compiled a timeline of Salvation Army's history of discrimination against LGBTQ people, both passively and actively. A few highlights. In 1998, Salvation Army refused to comply with San Francisco's law regarding domestic partner benefits, costing it $3.5 million in city contracts and leading to the closure of certain programs for homeless people and the elderly. 2001, the organization tried to strike a deal with the Bush administration, which would have allowed religious charities that receive federal funding to circumvent local ordinances against LGBTQ discrimination.
Glad to still be around.
The organization also threatened to stop all of its New York City operations in 2004. 2012, the Salvation Army branch of Vermont was accused of firing a caseworker after learning she was bisexual. In 2012, the Salvation Army spokesperson George Hood said the organization views same-sex relationships as sinful. A relationship between same-sex individuals is a personal choice that people have the right to make. But from a church viewpoint, we are going to see it as against the will of God. And so, like, they have a long history of actually abusing people in real life, and you can read that article if you want more. And conservatives don't give a fuck. But the moment you start talking about the history of racism in this country and how we need to spend time in ensuring that we're not perpetuating it, well, now suddenly you're anti-white. Now you can't be supported. They don't give a shit.
And I fully support helping the needy. I support bankrupting the Salvation Army. Organizations like this must be totally and completely deprived of any sort of capital flows. Let me read this again. White culture has challenges it needs to overcome, including the denial of racism, the defensiveness of race, and states that white Americans need to stop being colorblind. While this might sound helpful, it actually ignores the God-given differences we all possess. Bigots. The Salvation Army, when you give money to the Salvation Army, you are subsidizing critical race theory, diversity, equity, inclusion, eugenics types thinking. That's right. The Salvation Army might have done good work at some point, but it's time to make the Salvation Army
cancel culture. Actual cancel culture.
Live under the principle: you go woke, you go broke.
Which has never
Salvation
been
Army
true,
received
of
such
course. Chat. Oh my God. It's being reported by NBC. Oh no 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 no. Man, he's famous now, aren't he? Have you seen the Stop Woke act? Okay, everybody's spamming the same reply that the one Chud did. Hasan Piker says Twitch banned him for using derogatory term for white people. Piker, who has more than 1.6 million followers on his account, Hasan says he wants Twitch to make a decision about the word's acceptability. Hasan Piker, one of the most prolific streamers on Twitch, said Monday evening that he was banned for using the word. They didn't even censor it! My goodness! NBC! You didn't censor this clear slur? I think you're getting brigaded? No, I'm not. I am not. Don't worry about it, chat. We're fine. I can't believe that NBC, of all places, would post a obvious slur. This is unbelievable. Hiker, who spent more than 1.6 million followers on his account, Hasan and spends hours each day talking about politics and news from a leftist position, addressed being kicked off the platform in a YouTube video Monday, saying he feels the platform is taking a cowardly position by not immediately commenting on why his channel was banned. They don't want to come out and say anti-white racism is unacceptable on this platform, and that's why we're banning the usage of the term. Because they know they would get clowned on by like 99% of media that isn't predominantly focused on random weirdos that spend all their time in their mother's basement, talk about the ethics of being able to use the C word versus how they should also be able to say the N word as well. It feels weird that I can't say it. I'm white. Why can I not say it? Like, what? Like, what is happening? And because Twitch has made no point, it's like certain non-racist people who don't accept. Wait, is Hasan being banned for saying the C word because he's not white, according to Twitch? Did they get it? Did they measure his cranium and say Turks aren't white, so you can't say it? But they also banned Vaush. And Vaush is from Beverly Hills. He went to a private school in Beverly Hills. You can't get any whiter than that. So how did he get banned? And of course Turks are white. The Caucasus. Have you ever heard the phrase Caucasian? They have the Mongoloid, what are the skulls according to the racist? There's like the Caucasoid, the Mongoloid, and the I think it's like Negroid. Isn't that the like racist pseudo-scientific division of skulls? Turks are white according to that guy who came up with it. Doing phrenology should be more bannable than the C word. I'm just trying to understand. Like, why can't a white person say it? Anyway. Blank is a term often used to insult a white person. Although antiquated, the word is believed to derive from the term whip blank. According to Jelani Cobb, a journalism professor at Columbia University who spoke to NPR in 2013 about the word. However, NPR reported versions of the term as an insult appear to date back even further to William Shakespeare's King John, in which a character uses the uniquely spelled. Piker used the word during a sign-off of his stream on Monday while talking about two of his modern... So can you not read Shakespeare now? Is Shakespeare not allowed on Twitch? Piker used the word during a sign-off of his stream on Monday while talking about how two of his moderators, also Twitch users to help him run his channel, have been banned for using it. During the stream, Piker said it had been called more times than every single one of you, referring to people commenting on his channel's chat. NBC News could not confirm the exact quote, as Twitch had already removed Piker's account. Piker then told his followers to stop crying about this term, adding that his followers must recognize that his moderators, who are people of color and use the word, have been historically oppressed. In his video Tuesday, Piker said he just wants to move on. I don't care, just make a decision. I'm not married to being able to use the word In Twitch's hateful conduct and harassment policy, this company stated that it does not permit behavior that is motivated by hatred, prejudice, or intolerance, based on characteristics like race. Also stated that using hateful slurs, either untargeted or directed toward another individual, is prohibited. What? Since when? I know that's what the TOS says, but people use it. People use this shit on me all the time. What do you mean? Piker suggested that the ban was not a proper use of Twitch's terms of service, adding he had previously advocated for Twitch's terms of service. He said he was concerned about banning the word could set a precedent that disproportionately affects black Twitch users. Piker pointed to a group of Redditors, user of the website Reddit, who had made the complaint against his channel for using the term and stirring up the controversy. A Twitch ban does not always mean a permanent suspension, and the ban isn't the first for Piker. In 2019, he was given a week-long ban for saying America deserved what happened on September 11, 2001. There it is. There it is. He almost made a whole article. He almost made a whole article. But at the end, they slipped it in. Hasan is now famous for getting banned for anti-white racism and for saying America deserved 9/11. That's like the leftist. That's like. You're 2 for 2, man. 2 for 2. I mean, I got banned for a scabless, so that's pretty good too. Oh, those are like the left. Oh my god, that's so good. I'm dying over here, dude. I'm dying over here. Leftist bingo card. He's ahead. He's ahead right now on the leftist bingo card. Holy shit. That's funny. That's really funny.